Beate Gillette here, the growth architect. In this episode, I'll take you through what happened when we lost our home and then my office in the fires in the Palisades Fire here in Los Angeles. I'll take you through some of these concepts of resilience and surviving and managing such an unimaginable loss. And I'll just tell you the story. It's an unscripted episode where I'll really lay it out there for you what happened and what happened to us and how our community came together. And I hope you enjoy this episode and perhaps support other people like us that literally have lost everything. And hello, fabulous person. Beate Gillette here. I am the host of the Business Growth Architect Show, and I want to welcome you to today's episode where we discuss how to navigate strategy and spirituality to achieve time and financial freedom. Truly successful people have learned how to master both, a clear intention and a strategy to execute that in a spiritual practice that will help them to stay in alignment and on purpose. Please enjoy the show and listen to what our guest today has to say about this very topic. Hello and welcome, Beate Gillette here, the Growth Architect. As you may have heard or seen, or maybe you don't know, but on the 8th of January, our house burned down and my office burned in the night from the 7th to the 8th in the Palisades Fire here in Los Angeles. And the story really is, after 10 years together, we decided that we were going to elope because it got complicated. You know, sometimes you make decisions because things are complicated. My family's in Germany, his family's in New York and Atlanta and Los Angeles. And then are we doing a destination wedding? Where are we going to do it? It just got so complicated. We said, screw it, we're just going to elope. We're going to go to Costa Rica. We went on a spiritual journey. And the spiritual journey specifically for me was all about letting go. And I'll go into this a little bit deeper in a minute. And we got married in a beautiful ceremony on the 3rd of January. On the 6th, we find out that there's a fire. On the 7th, our street is evacuated. And on the 8th, literally every possession that we have, my podcast studio, everything has burned to the ground. We were on our honeymoon, which you can imagine was very memorable and really not a lot of fun because we watched everything burn and there was not a thing we could do. And we got back on the 11th. We were able to have a friend, Alvaro, if you're listening to this, we are so grateful, who gave us his place where we could crash for a couple of days. And we had amazing children. Gary has 3 daughters and I have 1, and everybody kind of came together, including the son-in-laws. And I didn't realize on how much help we really needed in putting all of this together and what community means. And we're also going to talk about this a little bit on how community comes together in a time like this. So here we are. Now we arriving at the 11th of January at midnight. And today at the time of the recording, it's the 22nd of January. That was 11 days ago. And we don't have a place to live. We don't have a jacket. We don't have a pen. We literally only have the few things that we took to Costa Rica, but 2 bikinis, a couple board shorts, and the 1 pair of long pants that we were wearing, and the 1 pair of sneakers that we had. That was it. There was nothing else. And we were so overwhelmed by just even understanding and wrapping our heads around what just happened, because it's not something that your brain can understand. Like, your brain is looking for things it can compare things to. That's how our brains work, right? We talk about this in mindset here all the time in the spiritual aspects of the Business Growth Architect Show, where we say our brain is designed for one and one thing only, and that is to protect us. And if it finds a particular scenario that it's familiar with, then it will act accordingly to that scenario and put us on autopilot so that when the saber-toothed tiger is in front of our cave, that we know it's danger and we don't have to think about it. It just goes into this fight or flight automatic response. But when something like this happens that you don't have a response to, you are in shock. It's death without dying, because everything that we created that exists, every award, every piece of paper, every writing I did, every photo I have, every Every card my daughter wrote me, everything that his daughters remember about growing up in that house, it's literally all gone. Every photo, every piece of jewelry. I mean, we were on vacation. I could save nothing. My mother just had given me all of her jewelry, and it's soft metal. We can't really even get there until now. So we have no idea, but we looked and it's burnt to the ground. There's nothing. It's a big, 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 big gaping hole. And for those of you watching this on the video, I'm including a photo so you can see just the unbelievable destruction of what has happened. Now, our kids did something that we did not know they could do, wanted to do, or were able to do. They stepped into action. And everybody did something that, like in a good team, that they were capable of, and they were able to contribute. Jenna, Gary's middle daughter, stepped into action, and with her husband, they were looking at places. They knew that with the housing shortage we already have in Los Angeles, and now with thousands of structures being burned, that people like us would be needing housing. And they told us we cannot wait. Literally within 24 hours later, we had signed the lease on a place. And that was on Sunday evening. And then by Tuesday, we already had the keys to the place. And by Thursday, we were fully moved in. Katrina, who, she takes care of, like, at 7:00, you're going to be at my place. We're going to be having dinner. And this is what we're eating. This is what we're doing. So they really put us all on a schedule. Danny checked in from New York. They set us up a GoFundMe page. We did not know that so many people were so generous toward us. This is sort of how community happens, right? So our kids stepped up to the plate. And what's the lesson here for us? Because it's a business growth architect show. The lesson is that when you let team members or people that are around you really take charge and trust that they're doing the right thing, everybody contributes something that they can on their terms. And it was beautiful. We were so moved. I'm still moved by this, that everybody stepped into action. My daughter, Gina, who's a great shopper, making sure I'm mentally taken care of. She gets me my favorite pair of shoes. She's still hunting for my favorite purse. And it was amazing to see how our family, our kids, just were so protective of us and stepped up and made sure that they weren't leaving Los Angeles, for those who didn't live here, unless we had a place to live. How powerful is that? How unbelievably grateful can we be for this? And then our friends and our community. Our community just stepped up. We created an Amazon wish list. As I said, we have a GoFundMe page. People I don't know donated. And people that I've not worked with for years donated. People that used to work for me that I paid donated. Even my beautiful niece in Germany, who is still a student who really doesn't have any money, even she donated. And the outpouring of love and support in a community is really something that I think that looking forward for me in what we're going to do with this business, because what am I going to do now that it's all burned, now that I have no history, so to speak of? What are we going to do? We're going to build a community. We're going to build a community because I'm realizing that having this support system is so unbelievably powerful. And honestly, I don't know if you know this about me or if you figured it out by now, but I'm German. I'm a strategist. I like a logical thought process. Emotions are not easy for me, but I am emotional and I am having complete breakdowns because I'm grieving for my life. I'm grieving for my house. My husband's built this house. I'm grieving for the loss. I'm grieving for all the things that I will never touch again. I'm grieving for my past. I'm grieving for my neighbors, my community, the schools, the kids. My office was right above and next door to elementary school. When I would work and it was break, I'd hear the kids playing, and I did that on purpose because I always wanted to remind myself that the things that I did were really for building a legacy for maybe the parents of these kids, and that there was a life even long after I've been gone. And I feel that this moment of building a community is a very powerful message, especially in a time like this. I've not watched any news. I can't talk to anybody about fires because I already lost my home. I cannot listen to what other things there are. I mean, I have plenty of friends that lost their homes. That's my community. That's where I'm putting my focus and sharing what we have and creating an environment where those of us who lost everything kind of can come together and where we can be with each other. You know, I have a book club in the Palisades. Out of 6, 4 women lost their homes. And it's incredibly difficult to hear all the different stories. One of them is Stephanie Lunkevitz, who is an illustrator who lost every illustration she's ever done, who was supposed to do an exhibit in New York with her artwork. Well, the artwork burned. Her husband, in some sort of heroic effort, when the house was already on fire, crawled on all 4 into her studio to pull out a folder of illustrations that she's done for a book on the Holocaust with the one of the few survivors, so that those illustrations could go on exhibit. And another one is a filmmaker from Ireland, Natalie, who just filmed a feature film in Ireland and who has to figure this out all by herself while they're doing this movie, and where this film has to be cut in Ireland while she's dealing with her 3 children. So there is the stories, I tell you, the stories are heartbreaking. Every house has a story, and it really hurts me when I looked briefly on X, and then I had to just get off it right away. When people say these horrible things about California, about Los Angeles and rich people, and on the political spectrum, some of the unthinkable things people have said, it's really hurtful to us. We lost everything. We worked for this. I come from a basic middle-class family in Germany. I built all of this by myself. Nothing was given to me. Many of the people that we know built everything from scratch and got there by their own power. So I ask you, if you hear something like this, be mindful of that there's peoples and stories behind it that are really, really, really painful. But back to the community aspect. So the community does come together, and we have people send us toothpaste. It's not very sexy. It's not really an amazing, gift per se, but my girlfriend, brought me a beautiful cashmere sweater and some house slippers that are furry, because at least with nothing, I could put something on and it feels really good. And my feet were warm because I had nothing. I had a pair of flip-flops and a pair of sneakers I took. So the thoughtfulness of the community is amazing. And I think that that's really the stuff that we need to think about as people when we go through these moments. And I talked about this a lot. We try to get to a particular point, but there is no point to get to because that point constantly moves. Literally on Christmas, my husband and I, we said, we no longer want any gifts because we felt we had everything. And we told everybody we really want experiences and time. That's what's important to us right now. And then in a flash, everything that we had, all the little comfort things, my favorite Mont Blanc pen that's now gone. And now I'm writing with just a regular pen. And all my clothes, everything's gone. So it happens, it changes. So you can't make the things depending on how you feel today, because you're living here and you're living here today. Now, this outpouring of receiving, when people said, how can we help? My first reaction is, of course, to say, I don't want any help, or I don't need any help, because that's what I've said my entire life. But this has such a magnitude that I need the help. Let's face it. I need somebody to send me prepared food from one of the healthy places, so I do not have to grocery shop. I do not have to cook. I do not have to clean up. All I have to do is go to the fridge, take something out and eat it, because it's one less decision I have to make, because the number of decisions I have to make now are astronomical, because I don't have anything left that I need. Everything has to be bought, purchased, optimized, and then I have a business and I have to continue. Then there's the insurance. Then there is figuring out, what are we going to do with the car that still stands in front of the burned house? What are we going to do with insurance from my office? What were all the things that were in the office? So there is not just the regular thing of the regular course of life. There is the rebuilding of everything, the finishing up what once was, and then there's the big question, who are we going to be now that we don't have this anymore? Now let's go to the spiritual journey that I did. I did go to Costa Rica on a spiritual journey over New Year's for the reason that number one, we were going to get married, and number two, I wanted to really step into more of this spiritual aspect that I've been working on a lot lately. And in this spiritual part, the message that I kept getting in the program was that it was my time to let go. It was my time to let go of my past, sort of as a story that I'm stepping into a new era. Remember, I just turned 60, so I stepped into this wisdom age. I'm a grandmother, so I have now a different standing as, call it the wise woman in society. And one of the things I was really worried about is, as I was doing this, is there relevancy for me when I do this? Does it mean that I still have relevancy, or am I just going to be a poorly aging woman? And I was worried about that for many, many years, because I know what society does with women my age. And I did not want that. I wanted to have relevancy. And what happened in the spiritual retreat, as I was there with my husband, is that people that are my daughter's age, or that our daughter's age, would come forward and ask us if we would adopt them. And I'm like, adopt you? Like, I'm not old enough for you to be oh, that's right, I am old enough for you to be my daughter. And I realized that us being Papa Bear, which they called him, and Mom, which many of them called me, that was such an honor. And it makes me really emotional to think about this, that, having grown up without that warmth of a mother, that I can now give this to so many other people that became incredibly protective of me. And I handed out tons of hugs, because sometimes in these spiritual retreats, you go through really profound, life-changing experiences, and not all of this is very pleasant. You have to let go of your old stuff, and you have to remember some of the things, and you have to go into these deep, painful experiences, your trauma. You have to move through it to be able to recognize it, to have awareness, and then let it go, and then decide what you want to do. So a lot of people had intense experiences. And for me to hold the space in that capacity was so very powerful. And then I asked the question, well, what does it mean for me now going forward? And the message was loud and clear. And I'm going to announce it here today for the first time, is I'm going to take everything I've ever created, and I'm going to teach you how I do what I do. So if you've ever thought about being a strategist, a business consultant, a business coach, a career coach, any coach of any kind, I have thousands of pages that I've created on how to do strategic facilitation, how to do planning, how to do super simple business plans, how to do core values. And I don't believe in overcomplicating these things because I've done it for so long. I've really simplified all of this in such a way that it's easy to do. Because a lot of times people make it complicated because they want you to need them for a long period of time. Frankly, I don't have that time anymore. I'm going to have to give you what I know in the quickest and shortest amount of time possible because now I am running out of time. And that's what kind of came through before my house burned down in my office. And then I'm standing here and I'm going like, well, what does this now mean? Now that we've just been through the letting go, stepping into wisdom, sharing what I have, but yet I come back to absolutely nothing. But the one thing that survived is a box of my workbooks that I've given to a friend when we were discussing collaboration, and I physically gave her the entire box of the workbooks that I've created. That's the only thing that survived from my office. Now you tell me, what does that mean? Is that crazy or what? And now we have to figure out how to continue. I had a new client today who I worked with, and if you watch this on video, I'm wearing a blue velvet suit because I had no business clothes. So I went to the mall and I had to get myself some shoes and some underwear and t-shirts and a belt and something to wear. And I found this really kind of cool blue velvet suit. And I'm like, well, if I'm reinventing myself, if I have no closet of things that I paid good money for that I now want to hang on to, if none of that exists, then who am I right now? And I'm like, blue velvet suit's exactly where I need to be right now. So I'm wearing a blue velvet suit with bell bottoms and some kind of fancy shoes today. And I loved it. I loved going to this client and doing a team building. I'm a certified Myers-Briggs practitioner. And so I have developed a way to use Myers-Briggs in really helping people understand on what they're bringing to the team and make it fun and engaging, and then involving the business owner in a hands-on scenario where we then immediately create a scenario of a problem or something that's going on in this business, where we then take the personality assessments that we just did and incorporate that. And it was beautiful. And I spoke to the business owner an hour later. Her name is Renee Fraser from Fraser Communications here in Los Angeles, a phenomenal communications firm. And she said already people, her employees, her team members came and they already resolved some of the issues as a result of it. And when I heard that, I sat in the car and I just feel this wave of emotion coming over me, because it is so important to me that I have a place and that the work I do makes an impact. And so the best thing that you can do for me, if you want to help, share the show, help other people now to discover spirituality and strategy. If you know people that want to start their businesses, get this message out. We are building this as a subscription program. We're going to have 3 different tiers in it. We're going to figure this out because I haven't figured it out yet. I just had this idea and then all of this happened. Hang around, connect with us. Let us know what's going on in your life. And help me build this so that it'll work for you. And that it'll help me build this so that it makes an impact in your life. Because I haven't built it yet. So I need my community now, like it helped me to have underwear and socks and something to sleep in and a toothbrush. Now I need my community, you, to help me, in the first row of beta testers, and as we're moving through this, on how we're going to be built this so this is going to maximum impact for you. I'm taken away from this entire experience so far. I have no influence over the past. The past is gone. I will be moving through my grieving process, which is going to take time, no question. But I'm also looking forward in the future and saying, if this is a message that the time is very precious, I'm certainly going to make the most out of it. And receiving help at this level and this magnitude shows me that I'm impacting people and that people care about me. And I'm going to have to open that up to let more people in. because I think that together we can make an amazing impact. And that's it, So if you know people who are victims of catastrophes and fires, donate, send them meals. Don't ask them to tell you what they need. They don't know what they need. Send them a nice fuzzy pair of slippers or beautiful coat or a nice robe, or send them prepared healthy meals. Think for them. We don't know what we need. And I thank you for being here. I really do. I built relationships for 40 years, and I must have done a really, really good job building these relationships, judging by what's coming toward me. And I want to show you on how to do that, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye for now, and reach out, leave a comment, say hello. Don't be a stranger, drop in the DM. We're going to be building this community for you, with you. Thank you so much, and goodbye. So appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for listening to the entire episode. Please subscribe to the podcast, give us a 5-star review, a comment, and share this episode with one more person so that you can help us help more people. Thank you again. Until next time. Goodbye.